Hello and welcome to another installment of my favorite movie, The Song Remains the Same. After my previous Pittsburgh episode went live, a subscriber named Mark, username AZDesertRat724, raised a possibility that immediately changed decades of accepting captioning as it is. That the airport sequence long labeled as Teterboro Airport, New Jersey, may have been filmed at Newark International Airport. That question sent me back into the footage and into the geography. You won't believe my findings. At the same time, another viewer, Tim, also known as Out on the Tiles, helped me re-examine a key city driving shot, and that process overturned a separate assumption I had made about timing, shifting what I originally believed was February 1975 back to July 1973. Taken together, Mark's Newark theory and Tim's visual corrections didn't just refine details, they fundamentally changed where these sequences belong to, and what follows is the evidence that finally puts decades of miscaptions and misconceptions to rest. This is a very special episode, guys. Get ready, cause we'll reveal many secrets ahead. First things first, I want to address the airport scene, endlessly captioned for about 5 decades as Teterboro Airport, New Jersey. After checking Mark's theory, here's what I found. The 1990 promo video for Traveling Riverside Blues includes a driving shot exiting the Lincoln Tunnel in New Jersey, clearly coming from New York. From that point on, both Teterboro and Newark International Airport sit at comparable distances. So I went back and re-examined the 1973 airport material, both the surviving 8mm footage and what made final cut. This is New Jersey without a doubt. A quick flash of a truck bearing the name Stearns, a department store chain with multiple New Jersey locations, immediately stood out. I wonder how I missed that before, but here it is, Stearns. Now the real giveaway was the elevated highway in the background. At Teterboro there's nothing like this. No busy multi-lane highway, no roads running overhead. The 8mm film also reveals cargo cranes in the distance, which sent me straight to Newark. I checked the airport from every possible angle, and once again I have to thank my dear patrons for your support. You make this happen. So I went through everything on a street view level, and eventually landed on a private parking area that could easily fit the band's Starship, with both the elevated highway and a visible cargo field, cranes included, matching perfectly. So it's my pleasure to say this clearly. I think it was never Teterboro, but Newark. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. This means the band likely drove from the Drake Hotel in Manhattan to the Lincoln Tunnel entrance near West 39th Street, then on to Newark's International Airport. It genuinely amazes me how even official publications have repeated the Teterboro caption for years. This is 1973, a moment in time at the airport, ready to catch their flight to Pittsburgh. Exhibit A. Before moving forward, we need to return to Fifth Avenue. The Empire State Building anchors the location, and then there's this tree. Green leaves, fully intact. This alone rules out a New York winter. There's no snow, no bare branches, no visual trace of cold weather. Pedestrians aren't bundled up, and there's no sign of raincoats or freezing conditions. This is not February 1975. The environment points decisively to summer, and more specifically, July 1973. Now notice something else. The purple shade reflecting off the car window. Hold on to this detail. It is very important to our story and what comes next. Exhibit B. Driving across the RFK Bridge, nowadays Triborough. Freeze the frame, zoom to the right, and there it is. A flag flying at half-mast. A symbol of mourning. In this case, it aligns with an event that happened on July 26, 1973. Just one day before Led Zeppelin's first of 3 shows at Madison Square Garden. On that afternoon, 2 aircrafts from the US Navy Blue Angels Precision Flying Team crashed over the west end of Lakehurst Naval Air Station shortly before 5 p.m. Captain Mike Murphy and Crew Chief Petty Officer First Class Ronald Thomas were killed. More than 100 spectators from the Navy League witnessed the deadly accident. This explains why the flag appears at half-mast in the bridge sequence. But the connection doesn't end there. Lakehurst Naval Air Station is also the site of the Hindenburg disaster in May 1937. That tragedy provided the iconic image for Led Zeppelin 1 and even inspired the band's name. When these facts are placed side by side, the question becomes unavoidable. What are the odds that a mourning flag in Led Zeppelin's film quietly connects back to the airship disaster that marked the very beginning of their rock and roll career? An eerie full circle, hidden in plain sight. Once again, the purple shade is visible in the driving footage on the bridge, matching what we see on Fifth Avenue. Taken together, these two exhibits place the sequence firmly in July 1973. With that established, the Manhattan footage itself also falls in the same window. These shots were filmed at some point during Led Zeppelin's July 27th, 28th, and 29th Madison Square Garden run, potentially on the drive from the Drake Hotel, where the band was staying, to the venue, as illustrated on this route. As the cars approach the garden, the same purple shade appears again, reinforcing continuity. Different days may be involved, but the conclusion is clear. This is 1973, not 1975. One possible scenario fits the evidence. After Led Zeppelin arrived at Newark's International Airport on July 27th, the band may have traveled directly into Manhattan, checking into the Drake Hotel, and then hop in the limo again to Madison Square Garden, which could explain the matching driving footage we see in the film, suggesting the camera crew could have been traveling with them, capturing exterior material along the way. Another scenario points this to closing date July 29th, based on the fact we have band footage of them leaving the garden on that day. So maybe, just maybe, cameras were rolling on the 29th, being this the last chance at capturing Zeppelin's electrifying days in America 1973. But there's more New York evidence in this episode, this time on the ground. I want to thank my dear patron supporter Al Leva for helping me identify these subway locations. This is West 4th Street, Washington Square, and the scene immediately before No Quarter gives us our first clue, the number 4 on the station columns. On its own, that isn't enough though. The key appears in a separate 2-second shot spliced into Black Dog. Freeze the frame and you can read West 4 on the wall, along with the letter K on the subway train that identifies the K8th Avenue local, a service that was discontinued by 1988, firmly placing this footage in an earlier period consistent with 1973. At the time, West 4th Street was known as a rough, dangerous area after dark, which aligns perfectly with the mood and atmosphere used for No Quarter. That brings us to the fog. The green fog visible in parts of this sequence doesn't behave like New York City. We have a yellow tint color here, which is different from the Madison Square Garden color we see surrounding Jumble Jones. This suggests that portions of the fog sequence were likely filmed at Shepperton Studios 1974, then intercut with real New York material to complete the illusion. You can check the making of the Shepperton Studios footage here on the channel. Given how last minute the film's shooting plans were, the crew was clearly working against the clock. The concerts alone were difficult to capture, but the exterior New York material would have required fast decisions, limited permits, and minimal pre-production. What emerges is a portrait of New York assembled from multiple angles. Drive-bys, streets, time-lapse sequences, subways, everything capturing the idea of the city rather than a single controlled shoot. One exception stands out, the Times Square insert from 1975 I mentioned in the previous episode. Why is it there when the surrounding material belongs to 1973? It may have functioned as stock imagery or visual glue, added later to reinforce the New York identity. Considering the film sat in the Zeppelin archive for nearly 3 years before release, this kind of patchwork assembly reflects the realities of 1970s rock filmmaking, taking chances, on the go, rock and roll. I hope you enjoyed this investigation. As I continue breaking down The Song Remains the Same, more secrets will surface. Oh yeah, I noticed something else. A fragment of Since I've Been Loving You appears to belong to No Quarter, but that is a case for another episode.